Hello everyone, welcome to another live session at Speaker Circle. Good evening. I hope that you had a nice day. I know Thursdays and midweeks can be a little tiring where you have nothing exciting going on in your life. So that's okay, we have something exciting for you. So I believe that storytelling is the most exciting form of public speaking that is out there because there are different stories from different whether they are folk tales coming from various cultures, whether they are stories from real life incidences, our own stories, or stories of people that we have heard, or maybe they are stories that we have kind of written on our own, and we tend to tell it to others. So today we are going to have some members of speakers circle doing storytelling. So let me just tell you what Speaker Circle is all about. Speaker Circle is a platform that kind of encourages people to come forth and speak and share their ideas and opinions. So we have many such things going on here. To start with, we have an online meeting almost every Sunday, and if you are from Ahmedabad, that is a very beautiful city in Gujarat, you can join us for our offline meetings as well. Okay, so apart from these online and offline meetings, what we have on a regular basis is every Thursday we have a live session like this where we share stories with each other, where we talk about various topics. We talk about movies, we talk about books, we talk about important things that we can share our knowledge on. So without further ado, without wasting any more time, let's just delve right into the storytelling session. Let me introduce myself. I am your host for the evening. My name is Zaina, and I'm a very rather a prominent person at Speaker Circle. That is, I am a member, and there are certain fellow members with me today who have a lot of stories to share with and to talk about. So, to start with, we have our first storyteller who is very young and very exciting. He's from Ahmedabad. He is a student at Zebar School of Excellence, and he likes to read, play cricket, play the tabla. He's a really good tabla player, and he is keenly interested in physics. And the title of his story that he's going to narrate is The Necklace. So I would like to welcome Hrishikesh Thakkar. Hi, good evening, Hrishikesh.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for this wonderful introduction.
So, are you ready for storytelling? Are you ready to share your wonderful story with people?
Yes.
Okay, over to you.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Hrishikesh Thakkar and today I'm gonna narrate a story named The Necklace. So let's start. Uh, Once upon a time, there lived a lady born as if through an error of destiny into a family of clerks. She got married with a petty clerk. She felt that she was born for all delicates and luxuries, but she suffered from the poverty of her apartment, the shabby walls and worn chairs. When she seated herself for dinner opposite her husband, who uncovered the tureen with a delighted air, saying, "Oh, the good pot pie! I know nothing better than that." She would think of elegant dinners of shining silver. She thought of the exquisite food served in marvelous dishes. One evening, her husband returned, elated, bearing in his hand a large envelope. It was an official invitation letter for a grand party organized at the minister's house. Instead of being delighted as her husband had hoped, she threw the invitation spitefully upon the table, murmuring, "What do you suppose I want from that?" Her husband was silent, stupefied in dismay at the sight of his wife weeping. He stammered, "What's the matter? I thought you would be happy." By a violent effort, she responded in a calm voice, wiping her moist cheeks, "Nothing. Only I have no dress, and consequently I cannot go to this party. Give your card to some colleague whose wife is better fitted out than I." He was grieved, but answered, "Let us see, how much would a suitable costume cost? Something that would serve for other occasions, something very simple." She reflected for some seconds, thinking of a sum that she could ask for without bringing with it an immediate refusal and a frightened exclamation from the economical clerk. Finally, she said in a hesitating voice, I cannot tell exactly, but it seems to me that 400 francs would ought to cover it. He turned a little pale, for he had saved just this sum to buy a gun that he might be able to join some hunting parties the next summer with some friends who went to shoot larks on Sunday. Nevertheless, he answered, very well, I'll give you 400 francs, but try to have a pretty dress. The day of the ball approached, and the lady seemed sad, disturbed, anxious. Nevertheless, her dress was nearly ready. Her husband said to her one evening, what is the matter with you? You have acted strangely for 2 to 3 days. And she responded, I am vexed not to have a jewel, nothing to adorn myself. I shall have such a poverty stricken look. I would prefer not to go to this party. Then her husband cried out, how stupid we are! Go and find your friend Madame Forestier and ask her to lend you her jewels. She uttered a cry of joy. It's true, she said. I had not thought of that. The next day she took herself to her friend's house and bought a diamond necklace for herself from there. The day of the ball approached. The lady fully enjoyed the party, which lasted for 4 o'clock in the morning, and returned home. She removed the wraps from her shoulders before the glass for a final view of herself in her glory. Suddenly she uttered a cry. Her necklace was not around her neck. Her husband, half undressed, asked, what is the matter? She turned towards him excitedly and cried out, I no longer have Madame Forestier's necklace. He rose in dismay. What? How is that possible? Then both of them tried finding it out in every possible way but discovered nothing. Her husband said at last, write down to your friend that you have broken the clasp of the necklace and that you will have it repaired. That will give us time. She wrote as he dictated. At the end of a week, they had lost all hope and had decided to replace this with a similar necklace which they found in a shop of 36,000 francs. This was a huge amount for a lower middle class couples like them. Her husband made ruinous promises, took money from usurers and the whole race of lenders. Then he went to get the new necklace, depositing on the merchant's counter 36,000 francs. They finally returned the necklace back to Madame Forestier. The lady now knew the horrible life of necessity. She did her part, however, completely heroically. It was necessary to pay this frightful debt. She would pay it. They sent away the maid, they changed their lodgings, they rented some rooms in an attic. She learned the odious work of kitchen. She washed the dishes, she washed their clothes and dishclothes, which she hung on the line to dry. She took down the refuse to the street each morning and brought up the water, stopping at each landing to catch her breath. And clothed like a woman of the people, she went to the grocer's and the butcher's and the fruiterer's with basket on her arm, shopping, hankering to the last saw of her miserable money. The husband worked at evenings, putting the books of some merchants in order, and night he often did copying at 5 saws a page. And this life lasted for 10 long years. Could you imagine it? At the end of 10 years, they had restored all. The lady seemed old now. She had become a strong, hard woman, the crude woman of the poor household. One Sunday, as she was taking a walk in the Champs Elysees to rid herself of the cares of the week, she suddenly perceived a woman walking with a child. It was Madame Forestier, still young, still pretty, still attractive. Should she speak to her? Certainly, and now that she had paid, she would tell her all. Why not? She approached her, greeting, good morning, Jean. Her friend did not recognize her and was astonished to be so familiarly addressed by this common personage. She stammered, but madam, I don't know. You must be mistaken. No, I'm Matilda Loisel, her friend. uttered a cry of astonishment. Oh, my poor Matilda, how have you changed? Yes, I have had some hard days since I saw you, and some miserable ones as well. And all because of you. Because of me? How sad. Then Matilda narrated the whole story to her friend. Madame Forestier was touched and took both her hands as she replied, Oh, my poor Matilda, mine were false. They were not worth over 500 francs. So, the moral of this story, as I could possibly say, is E3 techniques. E3 stands for express, engage, and evolve. So, first of all, it's extremely important for a person to be expressive, which will help him to engage a bit more in every aspect of his or her life, and which will eventually help him to evolve. Thank you.
Wonderful, Rishikesh. I really love that, you kind of ended it on the note of express, engage, and evolve. That was very smart. And people are kind of appreciating your storytelling skills. So, thank you so much for that. And this story is particularly, telling us that whatever we assume to be true, it's not always true.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more much beneficial when it comes to riches. So personally, I would like to ask you, how do you connect to this story? Because it's a very famous story, and what's your perspective towards it? I would like to know that. If you could tell the
Actually,
story.
it's one of my story from my curriculum only, and when I first read this story, I was like, I found it a bit funny and a bit stupid, kind of, you could say that how can this be a real story as well? And it is obviously a fable story, and like I just linked it with the tagline, which speaker circle, and yeah,
Wonderful, Rishikesh. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful evening with a nice story. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you.
All right, everyone. So that was our first storyteller, Hrishikesh Thakkar. If you liked his story, or if you have read this story or listened to the story somewhere, and you have a different perspective or different take on it, feel free to share with us in the comments. And thank you to everyone who has joined us and who is kind of here to encourage and root for the speakers. So don't go somewhere. We have one or two more stories with us, and I would like to introduce somebody who is the next storyteller. She is from Ahmedabad. She has done bachelor's in engineering in information and technology from LJ College of Engineering. She is currently doing a job. She likes to learn new things. That's why she has joined us here as a storyteller, because she's trying to explore herself and learn storytelling skills. And the title of her story is Perfection versus Progression. So I welcome Janvi Patel. Hello, Janvi. Good evening.
Hello, how are you, Zaina?
I am fine. So, are you ready with your story? And
Yes,
I'm pretty
I'm
sure you have
ready.
an exciting story to share. So, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. How are you? I hope everyone are doing good in today, and thank you for watching me. So, my story is all about perfection versus progression. So, I would like to share a small story that changed my view on perfection versus progression, how progression is needed in our life. So, I will be sharing the story in Hindi. Zana, it's okay? Okay. So let me start my story. एक गांव था जहाँ पे एक अमरपाल नाम का लड़का रहता था. अमरपाल was doing his MA in English in the college. गांव से थोड़ी दूर एक कॉलेज थे, उसमें वो MA कर रहा था इंग्लिश में. और उसी गांव में एक समरपाल रहता था. समरपाल कॉलेज नहीं जाता था, बट ही लव्स टू स्पीक इन इंग्लिश. तो वो गांव में ऐसा करता था कि ही यूज्ड टू स्पीक टूटी फूटी इंग्लिश विद एवरीवन इन दैट विलेज. तो गांव के लोग सोचते थे दैट समरपाल इज ब्रिलियंट, ही नो इंग्लिश, वो इंग्लिश में बात कर सकता था. बट अमरपाल जो कि एमए इन इंग्लिश कर रहा था, उसे पता था कि उसे इंग्लिश नहीं आती समरपाल को. बट समरपाल ट्राई करता था, लोगों के पास जा जाके इंग्लिश में बात करता था. बिकॉज उसे इंग्लिश बोलना पसंद नहीं था, बट ही यूज टू लव दैट थिंग टू स्पीक इन इंग्लिश। तो वो लोगों के पास जा जाके टूटी फूटी इंग्लिश में बात करता था। अमरपाल, और वो फिर अमरपाल के आजू बाजू घूमता था कि उससे वो कुछ सीख सके, क्योंकि उसे सीखना बहुत पसंद था। तो वो अमरपाल के आजू बाजू घूमता था कि इसके पास से मुझे इंग्लिश अच्छे से सीखने मिलती थी। इसे पहली बात तो भी ये क्यों बोल रहा है, इसे पहले सीखनी चाहिए फिर बोलनी चाहिए। इसे कुछ भी बोल रहा है उलट फुलट इंग्लिश में, तो उससे बेटर है कि वो ना ही बोले। बट समरपाल ऐसा नहीं करता था, वो तो जो उसको फाता था वो मैं बोलता था अपनी लैंग्वेज में। भले ही वो हिंदी और इंग्लिश मिक्स थी, बट ही स्पीक्स टू एनीवन इन इंग्लिश, लाइक जैसे मैं अभी बोल रही हूँ, सॉरी। देन कुछ दिनों बाद वहां पे उस गांव में एक टीचर आए। उन्होंने ये ऑब्जर्व किया कि समरपाल टूटी फूटी इंग्लिश में सबसे बात कर रहा है। तो वो समरपाल के पास गए और उससे पूछा कि तुम्हें डर नहीं लगता, तुम्हें हंसी नहीं आती कि तुम्हें इंग्लिश नहीं आती है? तो उसने कहा, हंस के ऐसे हंसते हुए बोला कि नहीं, मैं देखो अभी वहां ही बाजू में एक तालाब के वहां भैंसे नहा रही थी। तो उससे बोला, देखो बहुत ही सिंपल है बोलना, यहाँ पे मैं इसे आपको समझा सकता हूँ कि भैंसे तालाब में नहा रही है। तो उसने ऐसे मास्टर जी से बोला, भैंसे आर गोइंग इन द तालाब। एंड उसे देख के मास्टर जी जोर जोर से हंसने लगे कि उसने कुछ भी मतलब इंग्लिश में परफेक्टली नहीं बोला। तभी वहां पे एक ऐसी चीज हुई कि एक छोटा सा बच्चा जो स्कूल में जा रहा था, जो पढ़ रहा था, उसने आके समरपाल को करेक्ट किया कि तालाब नहीं, इट्स अ पॉन्ड। और समरपाल ने तुरंत ही भैंसे आर गोइंग इन द पॉन्ड ये रिस्पॉन्ड दिया मास्टर जी को। तो उसने बोला, मास्टर जी को उसने समरपाल ने बोला कि जब मैं बोलता हूँ तो कोई ना कोई आके मुझे करेक्ट कर ही लेगा, मैं बोलूंगा ही नहीं तो कौन करेक्ट करेगा कि मैं सही बोल रहा हूँ या गलत बोल रहा हूँ? सो द मोरल ऑफ द स्टोरी इज दैट कि अगर आप लाइक बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं जिनके पास टैलेंट होता है, बट दे वेट फॉर अ अपॉर्चुनिटी, दे डोंट क्रिएट द अपॉर्चुनिटी। वो राह देखते हैं कि जब मूवमेंट परफेक्ट होगा, जब सब आता होगा तब हम बोलेंगे। तब तक टाइम आपके हाथ में से चला जाता है। सो डोंट वेट फॉर द परफेक्शन, बी द प्रोग्रेशन वन। लर्न, ट्राई टू, मतलब आप जब तक पूछेंगे नहीं तब तक आपको कोई आंसर नहीं देगा। जना, आई एम डन।
Wonderful, Janvi. I know you're nervous, but I think you really did a great job at storytelling and wonderfully presented the moral of, rather than trying to be perfect, we should at least give it things a try, right? So, does this apply to you on a personal level? Do you feel that
Yes,
this model applies to you?
yes, आई एम द वन इन द परफेक्शन वन। लाइक मैं कुछ भी करने से पहले आई लर्न दैट थिंग कि परफेक्शनिज्म में हम अपने आप को वो काम ना करने की पीछे प्रोकास्टिनेशन करते हैं। So I'm
Right.
that person, procrastination plus perfection. So I hide my procrastination in the form of perfection. So this story hit me so, like I was like, oh,
Okay,
it's
now
good.
so really wonderful, and you really did a good job. Thank you so much for joining us today, Janvi. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Janvi Patel, our second storyteller. How did you find the stories? Do you feel that they were really, really good, or do you have something additional to share? You can always let us know. And storytelling is really essential to learn. And it's I know I have told this in previous live storytelling sessions as well, that it's not just meant for kids, and it's not used in a very educational environment. It is used everywhere. If you see advertisements, if you see briefings, or if you see any form of explanation that people do in within a large number of people or within the masses, whether it's a radio broadcast or a television broadcast, there is always some form of storytelling involved. because not everyone is on the same level of understanding. Some people might take it in a different way, some people might take it in a different way. So in order for people to remember things, remember what they are advertising, or some kind of message that the government wants the people to know, they always show the advertisement, or they always show the broadcast, whether it's an audio broadcast, in a form of a story. Either it will be a narration, or either it will be a dialogue between two or three characters, or it will be something that is actually going on. So that is also a form of visual or auditory storytelling, and it's more common and more involved in our system than we think. So it's really necessary to learn this skill, and it only improves with practice. The more you narrate, the more you express, the more stories that you tell. So it's not necessary for you to know a particular story. You can tell stories, you can tell incidences about your own life, or something that you have observed, or you can create stories in order to give morals. So we have in our Indian culture, we have the tales of Panchatantra. So in those, the characters are not really in the real setup, but they represent emotions and they represent morals that are very real to our society. So that's all that we have for today. Keep joining us for more of such sessions. Keep joining us for storytelling. We are going to have another live session next Thursday as well. So feel free to join, and if you wish to be a part of Speakers Circle community, if you want to join us on WhatsApp and be a part of our online meetings as well, feel free to fill up the Google form, and you'll find the link in the description, and we'll see you there. With this, I, Zaina Rafique, will be signing off as your host. I hope you had a great time today. Thank you.